After turning 60, many things begin to change, some gradually, some all at once. You might notice your energy isn't quite the same, your sleep feels lighter, or your body doesn't bounce back as quickly as it used to. And yet, there's something beautiful about this stage of life. A chance to slow down, reflect, and take better care of ourselves with wisdom we didn't have in our younger years. I often hear people say it's just part of getting old, as if feeling tired or stiff is unavoidable. But here's the truth. How we live after 60 can make a huge difference in how we feel, how long we stay active, and even how happy we are. In today's video, we'll explore 5 simple, powerful habits that can help you live not just longer, but stronger with more clarity, more independence, and more joy. These aren't extreme changes. They're gentle shifts, small daily actions that build up over time and quietly transform the way we age. From getting deeper sleep to walking a little each day, from eating more mindfully to staying socially connected, and even learning how to drink water the right way. You might be surprised at how much these habits matter. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's walk through this together, like a conversation between friends. And before we begin, if you're interested in more tips about healthy aging, staying active, and feeling your best at every stage of life, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you have any thoughts or habits of your own that help you feel good, I'd love to hear about them in the comments below. Now, let's begin. 5. Drink enough water, but the right way. When I turned 60, I started noticing subtle changes in my body. I was slower to get out of bed. My skin seemed drier. My energy dipped in the afternoon. Nothing dramatic, just different. It wasn't until I mentioned these small things to a friend, another senior with a sharp mind and a healthy glow, that she asked me, "How much water do you drink every day?" I laughed and said, "Well, I drink when I'm thirsty." That's when she leaned in, looked me straight in the eye, and said, "That's the mistake most people our age make." You see, after 60, our sense of thirst dulls. Our bodies still need water, sometimes more than before, but we no longer feel the urge to reach for a glass. It's easy to assume we're fine, but inside, a slow dehydration begins. It's not like the dramatic kind you see on hot summer days. It's quiet, creeping, and it shows up in other ways. Frequent fatigue, constipation, dizziness, even falls. I didn't know at the time, but mild dehydration is one of the most common yet overlooked issues in older adults. According to the National Institutes of Health, up to 48% of older individuals who are admitted to hospitals arrive mildly dehydrated. The reason? We don't drink enough water, and often we don't drink it the right way. That conversation changed my life. I began to take hydration seriously, but I also learned it wasn't just about drinking water. It was how and when I drank that made all the difference. Now, every morning before I even reach for my slippers, I start my day with a warm glass of water. Not cold, not room temperature warm. It's gentle on the stomach and helps to wake up my digestion. I found that warm water doesn't shock the system. Instead, it coaxes everything into motion: metabolism, circulation, and even bowel function. It's a small ritual, but it sets the tone for the day. Throughout the day, I keep a small flask with me. Not a large bottle that I need to gulp from, but something I can sip regularly. I've learned that gulping down a big glass of water when I feel thirsty often leads to bloating or discomfort. Sipping gently, on the other hand, keeps me consistently hydrated without overwhelming my system. Another trick I use is tying drinking water to other habits. I drink a few sips after brushing my teeth. I sip while reading the newspaper. I keep water near me while watching TV. These tiny changes turned water into a habit, not a chore. Of course, I also make water a little more exciting. I add a slice of lemon, cucumber, or even a bit of mint. Not only does this make the water more refreshing, but it encourages me to drink a little more. These infusions are gentle, natural, and often come with their own health benefits. Lemon for digestion, mint for a calming effect. What surprised me the most was how quickly things improved once I got into this habit. My energy didn't dip as much in the afternoon. I felt more alert. My digestion improved, and I noticed fewer headaches. It turns out that many of the small discomforts we often chalk up to just getting older can sometimes be softened or even prevented by a simple hydration. It's not just about avoiding illness. It's about preserving quality of life. When you're well hydrated, your joints feel better. Your skin looks fresher. Your mind stays clearer. And perhaps most importantly, you reduce the risk of falls, something that becomes a very real concern as we age. Just a little dehydration can lead to dizziness or poor balance, which increases the likelihood of dangerous accidents. But here's what I tell anyone who asks now. Don't wait until you feel thirsty. Don't wait until your mouth is dry or your energy is gone. Start drinking a little at a time, consistently, throughout the day. Let it become a rhythm, a quiet, invisible companion that walks with you through your day. I often say that water is the simplest medicine no one talks about. It doesn't come with a prescription or a price tag, but it does require mindfulness. And after 60, mindfulness is one of the most powerful tools we have. So if you've been feeling sluggish lately, or if your mornings feel harder than they used to, before reaching for supplement or another coffee, try this. Start with a warm glass of water and sip your way through the day. It's a small change, but sometimes small changes are exactly what keep us going strong. Walk every day at least 20 minutes. I used to think that staying healthy after 60 meant signing up for a gym or investing in expensive equipment. But I've since learned that one of the most powerful habits for a longer, healthier life is also one of the simplest: walking. Not power walking, not hiking up steep hills, just gentle, intentional walking 20 minutes a day. I discovered this quite by accident. A few years ago, I began feeling stiff in the mornings. My knees ached a little more, and I noticed I was avoiding stairs whenever I could. I chalked it up to aging, but a conversation with my doctor made me pause. She said, "You don't need to join a fitness class. Just walk. Every day, even just around your garden or inside the house. Your body will thank you." So I did. I started small, 10 minutes around my yard. No pressure, no stopwatch. Just me, the morning air, and sometimes the birds. The first few days felt awkward. My feet felt heavy, and I had to convince myself to go out. But by the end of the first week, I was looking forward to those moments. My mood lifted. I felt more awake, more present. And the science backs this up. Walking just 20 minutes a day has been shown to significantly reduce the risk of heart disease and stroke. It strengthens your bones, improves your circulation, and boosts your balance. Key factors for staying independent as we grow older. According to Harvard Medical School, regular walking can even reduce the risk of hip fractures by up to 43% in older adults. That's not a small thing. One unexpected benefit: my mind felt clearer. I hadn't realized how much being indoors was weighing on me. The simple act of moving, breathing fresh air, and seeing the sky, especially first thing in the morning, lifted the mental fog I didn't even know I had. It didn't take long before I added music to the mix. I put on a soft playlist, instrumental jazz, or some of my favorite oldies, and let the rhythm guide my steps. It made the walk feel less like exercise and more like a moving meditation. Some days I listened to audiobooks or podcasts. Other days, I left my headphones behind and simply walked in silence, noticing the rustling leaves, the scent of flowers, the warmth of the sun on my shoulders. Soon, walking became more than a health habit. It became a ritual I genuinely enjoyed. It was my me time, a chance to unplug, breathe, and reconnect with my body. And then came the real game changer: company. One afternoon, I invited a neighbor to join me. Just a short stroll around the block. We chatted about the weather, our grandchildren, old stories from our working years. By the end, we were both smiling. After that, we started walking together once or twice a week. Sometimes we were joined by others. Our little walking circle became something of a tradition, lighthearted, supportive, and good for the soul. Walking with others added something I hadn't expected: accountability. On the days I felt lazy or tempted to skip, I'd get a call. Ready for our walk? And off I'd go, not just for the physical benefits, but for the connection. If you're reading this and thinking, I'm too tired or I don't have a safe place to walk, let me assure you, it doesn't need to be complicated. You can walk in your backyard, around your living room, down the hallway and back. You can even walk in place while watching TV. The key is consistency, not intensity. And here's something else. Walking isn't just about your legs. It's about your confidence. Every step you take reminds your body how to stay upright, how to shift balance, how to stay coordinated. This is crucial as we age, especially since falls are one of the leading causes of injury for people over 65. But daily walking helps train your body to stay steady and sure-footed. Over time, you'll notice changes. Maybe your knees feel looser. Maybe you don't need the rail for the stairs anymore. Maybe your posture improves and your mood lifts before you even realize it. It's not about walking fast or far. It's about giving your body a gentle, daily reminder that it was made to move and that it still can. So, if you've been searching for a simple way to stay healthier, happier, and more independent in your later years, I invite you to start walking today. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today, just 20 minutes, one foot in front of the other. And if you enjoy music, bring your favorite songs along. If you enjoy company, ask a friend or neighbor to join you. If you enjoy silence, walk in peaceful stillness. You don't need to change your life, just your pace, because every step counts, and after 60, those steps can take you farther than you ever imagined. 3, eat on time, eat the right foods, and chew thoroughly. Not long ago, I found myself waking up in the middle of the night with a heavy stomach and a restless mind. I wasn't eating anything unusual, at least not by my old standards, but something had clearly changed. Meals that once felt normal now left me feeling bloated or too full. Sometimes I'd even feel lightheaded after eating, and I began to wonder if this was just part of getting older. But the truth is, as we age, our digestive systems naturally slow down. We produce less stomach acid, our metabolism isn't as quick, and even the muscles in our digestive tract work a bit more sluggishly. That means the way we eat, when, what, and how matters more than ever. This was something I had to learn the hard way. One evening after a late dinner, chicken stew with white rice and a slice of cake, I went to bed feeling fine. But within an hour, I was tossing and turning. My heart felt like it was racing, and I couldn't quite catch my breath. It passed, but the experience shook me. Later, I read that eating heavy meals late at night can raise blood pressure, disrupt sleep, and even increase the risk of post-meal strokes in older adults. That was all the motivation I needed to change. Since then, I've started treating mealtime as a sacred routine. No skipping, no rushing, no multitasking. I now eat 3 meals a day at roughly the same times. Breakfast around 7:30, lunch by noon, and dinner before 6:30. That last one was the hardest to get used to, especially after a lifetime of late dinners. But I quickly noticed how much better I slept. Sticking to a meal schedule not only helps stabilize blood sugar and energy levels, but it also trains your body to expect nourishment at the right times. That sense of regularity has brought a rhythm back to my days, something I didn't realize I was missing. But timing isn't everything. The quality of the food on our plates plays an equally important role. These days, my meals look much greener than they used to. I aim to fill half my plate with vegetables, cooked spinach, steamed carrots, sautéed cabbage, whatever's in season. I've also swapped out white rice for brown or quinoa when I can, and I cut back significantly on added sugar and fried foods. Not because I'm trying to diet, but because I've learned how much those choices affect how I feel. Sugar, in particular, had a sneaky grip on me. I used to think a bit of dessert every night was harmless, but it turns out that high sugar intake is strongly linked to inflammation, energy crashes, and even memory decline in seniors. Once I reduced it, I felt lighter, not just in my body, but in my head. More alert, more clear. And then there's the simplest piece of wisdom I'd ignored for years. Chew your food. Properly, slowly, at least 20 to 30 times per bite. At first, it felt ridiculous. I'd grown up in a busy household where eating quickly was the norm. But chewing thoroughly does so much more than just slow you down. It gives your stomach a head start, breaking down food so digestion is easier. It also helps you recognize when you're full, preventing overeating. A study from the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that seniors who took more time to chew and eat at a slower pace had significantly lower risks of indigestion, bloating, and even high blood pressure. But beyond the science, there's something deeply comforting about sitting down to a meal without rushing. Taking time, savoring every bite. These days, I set the table before I eat, even if I'm alone. I use proper plates, not just bowls or takeaway containers. Sometimes I light a candle or put on soft music. This isn't about being fancy. It's about turning meals into mindful moments. And that mindfulness has changed everything. I've also found joy in preparing food again. Simple dishes like a warm bowl of vegetable soup or a plate of grilled salmon with lemon remind me of meals I used to make for my family. Cooking has become a form of self-care, not a chore. And when I share meals with others, the conversation adds a new kind of nourishment. All these small habits, eating on time, choosing more fiber and less sugar, chewing well, have helped my body feel steadier and my mind more relaxed. I don't get that heavy, sluggish feeling anymore. I sleep better. My bathroom habits are more regular, a topic we often avoid but shouldn't, and I feel a greater sense of calm after eating rather than the old fogginess. So if you're over 60 and wondering where to start with better health, let me suggest this. Look at your plate. Ask yourself not just what you're eating, but how you're eating. Are you rushing? Eating late? Skipping meals? You don't need to overhaul your diet overnight, but small changes consistently applied can make a world of difference. And tomorrow morning, when you sit down for breakfast, try chewing your toast just a little slower. Taste it fully. Let that be your first step, because healthy aging isn't about restriction, it's about attention. And mealtime is the perfect place to begin. 2. Maintain positive relationships. Avoid loneliness. Not long after I started changing my eating habits, something else began to shift. It wasn't physical this time, it was emotional. I was feeling better in my body, yes. But I noticed that some days, even after a good night's sleep and a nourishing breakfast, there was a strange heaviness. Not in my chest, but in the space around me. Silence. Stillness. Too much of it. The truth is, healthy aging isn't just about what we eat or how often we walk. It's also about who we talk to, who we laugh with, who checks in when we don't feel quite like ourselves. For many of us, the older we get, the more the social circle shrinks. Children grow up and move away. Old friends drift. Spouses pass. And even if we're still physically independent, the loneliness can sneak in quietly. We might not call it that. We might say we're just enjoying peace and quiet. But if that quiet stretches too long, it becomes something else entirely. Studies have shown that loneliness and social isolation are more than just emotional concerns. They're medical ones. According to research published by the National Institute on Aging, prolonged loneliness can increase the risk of heart disease, depression, cognitive decline, and even early death. That sounds dramatic, but it makes sense when you think about it. We're wired to connect. Our brains, our hormones, our sense of purpose, they all respond to connection. I remember speaking to an older gentleman at a park near my home. He was 82, walked every morning with a cane, and always sat on the same bench. One day I asked, "Do you always walk alone?" He smiled and said, "Only until someone says hello." That line stuck with me. Some people aren't truly alone. They're just waiting for someone to reach out. After that conversation, I made a small decision that changed everything. I started making real contact every day. Sometimes it was a phone call to my sister. Other days, I dropped by my neighbor's house with a few garden tomatoes. On Sundays, I started attending a community group. Not a big formal event, just a gathering of folks my age who bring snacks and stories. And something beautiful happened. I began to feel lighter, not because I was walking more or eating cleaner, though I was, but because I was seen, heard, engaged. Even something as small as smiling at the mail carrier or exchanging a few words with someone in the queue at the pharmacy makes a difference. These tiny moments of warmth act like vitamins for the soul. We might not feel the effect right away, but over time, they build us up from the inside. I've read that in Okinawa, Japan, one of the places with the highest concentration of centenarians, elders belong to small social groups called moai. These are lifelong circles of friends who support each other emotionally, socially, and even financially if needed. They don't live in big luxury. They live in trust and connection. That support system may be one reason they age so well. You don't need a big group or weekly events to get that kind of benefit. A single friend you can talk to or a neighbor who knows your name can be enough. The key is consistency. Relationships, like health, grow stronger when we tend to them regularly. Of course, it's not always easy. We might feel hesitant to call someone we haven't spoken to in years. We might worry that we have nothing important to say. But connection isn't about importance, it's about presence, about showing up. I remember once calling a cousin I hadn't spoken to in nearly a decade. I felt awkward, unsure of what to say. But when she picked up, she simply said, "I'm so glad to hear your voice." That was all it took. Since then, we've spoken once a week, and that thread of reconnection has reminded me that relationships don't expire. They just need reviving. Another simple thing I started doing is joining a local walking group. We don't go fast and we don't go far, but we go together. That shared movement, even in silence, is deeply healing. For those who aren't mobile, writing letters, joining a senior chat group online, or attending a book club can offer the same sense of companionship. So, if you're reading this and thinking, "I'm not lonely, I'm just alone," I invite you to look deeper. Is there someone you've been meaning to call? A neighbor you wave to but haven't spoken with? A group you've thought about joining but haven't yet tried? Take the step. Reach out. Say hello. Not because you need to fix anything, but because life simply feels richer when it's shared. And once that connection is made, once your heart feels a little lighter, your laughter a little louder, you'll find that other healthy habits become easier too. You want to eat better, move more, and wake up with a sense of purpose. Because health isn't just physical, it's emotional too. And sometimes the most healing thing in the world is a simple conversation. 1. Get enough sleep and sleep regularly. Sleep is the elixir of longevity. After I began reconnecting with old friends and building new ones, something else began to change, but this time, not in the daytime. It happened at night. I found myself looking forward to the end of the day with a gentle anticipation. Not because I was exhausted, but because I had started treating sleep not as a passive routine, but as an essential part of my health, almost like medicine. And in many ways, that's exactly what it is. We often talk about what we eat, how much we move, or whether we stay socially connected. But there's one habit that underpins everything else: good sleep. Not just any sleep, restorative sleep. Deep, uninterrupted, regular sleep that allows your body and mind to reset. It's one of the most powerful tools we have to age well and live long. And yet, for many people over 60, it's one of the most neglected. Maybe you've noticed it yourself. Waking up in the middle of the night for no reason. Falling asleep easily, but waking too early. Or lying awake at bedtime while your thoughts replay the day in circles. These patterns aren't just frustrating, they're dangerous over time. Poor sleep doesn't just make you groggy. It affects memory, immune function, metabolism, and even mood. According to the National Sleep Foundation, lack of quality sleep in older adults is associated with higher risk of depression, cognitive decline, heart disease, and even falls. When I finally took sleep seriously, I started treating it like a ritual instead of a random event. The difference was almost immediate. First, I set a bedtime, just like we used to set for our kids. For me, that magic hour is 10 p.m. Not because I'm forcing myself to sleep early, but because our bodies are wired for a natural rhythm called the circadian cycle. Going to bed earlier aligns us with that rhythm, helping our bodies produce melatonin, the hormone that signals it's time to rest. But it's not just about when you sleep, it's about how you prepare for it. I used to think I could scroll on my phone in bed, check emails, watch a little TV to unwind. But screens emit blue light, which tricks the brain into thinking it's still daytime. So I made a small change: no screens after 9 p.m. Instead, I keep a gentle lamp by my bed and pick up a calming book. Sometimes fiction, sometimes poetry, anything that invites stillness. And the caffeine? That had to go too. I love a good cup of tea, but I started saving the black or green teas for the morning. In the evening, I switched to herbal blends: chamomile, lavender, lemon balm. These not only avoid stimulating your nervous system, but can actually calm it. Within a few weeks, I was falling asleep faster and staying asleep longer. Music has helped too. Not loud or lyrical music, but soft instrumental or nature sounds. Waves, rain, a crackling fire. There's something deeply primal about these sounds. They lull the brain into a sense of peace, helping you transition from alertness to rest without realizing it. Of course, life doesn't always make perfect sleep easy. There are aches and pains, medications, worries about loved ones. But creating the conditions for good sleep, consistently, is what matters most. You may not sleep perfectly every night, but your body will learn the pattern. And once you begin sleeping better, you'll notice something remarkable. Your days feel sharper, clearer. You'll remember where you put your keys. Your mood will be more stable, and even your appetite will become more balanced. All of this comes from one simple habit: sleeping well. I remember reading about a study from Harvard Medical School, which showed that people over 60 who consistently slept 7 to 8 hours a night had significantly better memory retention and focus compared to those who slept less than 6. It wasn't about getting more sleep. It was about getting better sleep and regular sleep. It also struck me that in many long-living cultures, from Sardinia to Okinawa to parts of Scandinavia, there's a natural rhythm to the day that supports healthy sleep. Meals are eaten early. Socializing happens before sunset. The evenings are quiet, even sacred, and no one is rushing to do one last thing before bed. So I started shaping my evenings around that idea. Dinner before 7. No heavy foods late at night. A short walk outside if the weather allows. And then simply letting the body wind down, not fighting it with stimulation, but inviting it gently into rest. If you've ever struggled with sleep, I invite you to look at it not as a problem to fix, but as a friend to welcome back. Rebuild your relationship with sleep. Give it the respect it deserves. Turn your bedroom into a place of calm. Dim the lights. Make your bed comfortable. Treat the act of getting ready for sleep as something sacred, not a chore. Over time, you'll begin to notice that your body starts preparing on its own, just like it used to when you were young. Sleep is not a waste of time. It is where your body repairs, your brain organizes, your soul resets. In many ways, it's the foundation upon which every other healthy habit stands. So tonight, as the sky darkens, don't just hope for sleep. Prepare for it. Make peace with the day. Read something gentle. Sip something warm. And know that by choosing rest, you are choosing life. Longer, stronger, and more joyful. As we come to the end of this gentle journey through the 5 essential habits for living longer and living better after 60, let's take a moment to reflect. It all begins with quality sleep, the true foundation of health. When you rest well, your body heals, your memory sharpens, and your mood lifts. It's not just about closing your eyes. It's about creating a peaceful rhythm that your body learns to trust. A warm tea, a quiet evening, a regular bedtime. These small actions matter more than we often realize. Then there's the power of connection. Loneliness may be common, but it's not inevitable. A short phone call, a chat with a neighbor, joining a club, or just saying hello during your daily walk. These little moments of human warmth can brighten the spirit and even lengthen life. Staying socially active is as important as staying physically active. Speaking of physical activity, remember the simple strength of daily walking. Just 20 minutes a day can boost heart health, improve balance, ease joint stiffness, and even lift your mood. You don't need a gym membership, just a comfortable pair of shoes, perhaps some gentle music, and a bit of curiosity to explore your surroundings. Of course, none of this works without nourishment. Eating on time, chewing slowly, choosing more fiber and vegetables, and less sugar or processed fats. All these choices give your body what it truly needs. It's not about dieting. It's about caring lovingly for the body that carries you through life. And finally, let's not forget the importance of staying hydrated, but doing so mindfully. A warm glass of water in the morning, sipping slowly throughout the day, even when you're not thirsty. These simple habits help keep your metabolism running, your mind clear, and your energy steady. Now, if all of this sounds like a lot, don't worry. The key isn't to do everything perfectly, but to begin somewhere. Start with one habit, one small change. Maybe tonight, go to bed a little earlier. Or tomorrow, take a short walk after breakfast. These are not grand resolutions. They are gentle shifts. And over time, they add up to a life that feels lighter, healthier, and more joyful. Remember this. You don't have to change everything overnight, but every small step in the right direction counts. And it's never too late to begin. If any of today's habits spoke to you, if you tried some already or plan to start one soon, I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. What works for you? What's been your biggest challenge or greatest success? And if this video was helpful, please give it a like. It really supports the channel and helps others discover these tips too. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. There's much more to come on how to stay strong, joyful, and independent at every age. Wishing you energy, peace, and good health today and every day. May your years ahead be full of strength, connection, and the quiet joy that comes from caring for yourself, one habit at a time. Take care, and see you in the next video.